Mike says Grant Vish and all Niner creators going to have hella content this season if Jimmy's still on the roster and make hella bread, laugh my freaking ass off. Yeah, thank you, John. I really should thank him. It's going to be great. All the controversy and anger and also me being right. It's like John's wrong at my expense. It's crazy. Fire Lynch, man. I didn't say it, John. Grant loves this drama. This is what he lives for. Yes, I do. I freaking love it. I'm enjoying this very much. I'm sorry that's a hard time for Niner fans. Commentators mentioned that they can get $18 million if you release Jimmy. Why not release him and get that money? Because they don't want to spend it.
Well, releasing Jimmy would mean that they would have to just admit they're wrong. And I think they're going to have to inevitably get there. But Rob Guerrero talked about it this morning. I'm not even going to steal some of Rob's content because in another – he's going to give it to you in another hour. But NFL teams don't like to be wrong. It's going to be Grant Cohn and Grant Cohn Jr. as Rob is called on Twitter. So it's going to be fun.
Loki Smoke says, skip my question. My bad. It's all good. It was just saying cut Jimmy. Oh, yeah. Cut Jimmy. Or trade him for whatever's on the table for him. Why panic? We have 2 second rounders on the table. I like that. That's funny. That added a little levity. Do the Niners have something?
That's not even funny at this point. That's just mean. That's just mean-spirited.
Do the Niners have something up their sleeve for Jimmy Garoppolo? They better. Otherwise, it's gross incompetence.
Who?
Maybe there's a 33rd team in the NFL we don't know about.
Oh.
That Niner guy says Niners bragged last year how they fooled the national media. Guess national folks get to poop on the Niners for a bit. F the narrative, save the cap. Admit you were wrong. Move on. Eugene says if the Niners fail to upgrade the O-line with Lance essentially a rookie, there's a distinct possibility they will be sub 500 and miss the playoffs. Offensive line is important. If it's a disaster, it could ruin everything. So
just because the NFC is not as good doesn't mean, that the Niners, because they're in the most talented team or one of the most talented teams in March, that their season is just going to play out where they're going to once again walk into the playoffs at 11-6. There's still
Anthony Adams says if I'm SF, I'd cut Jimmy today just to spite Don Yee. Yeah, I think that would make. I don't know.
I don't know if that. I think Garoppolo would be happy with that at that point.
I think so too. Nathan says,
here's the other thing: if they cut because they can be jerks too. They can just say, well, we're not going to make any moves, and we'll cut Garoppolo in what they threatened to do to Colin Kaepernick in 2017 when they first came. We'll cut you close to the draft. You won't have nowhere to sign then because everybody will have their quarterback problems solved by then. And you're going to have to go compete for a backup job and bide your time. So they can spite him too.
Yep.
Niners have no leverage with him on other teams, but they can play this game of footsie with him forever.
Nathan says Kyle and John, the new Jerry Jones. Come on, Kyle and John, get y'all stuff together. Play the kid. Thank you, Nathan. Mo Dollar says, what the hell is going on?
I wish I could tell you.
Sorry, man. J-Rod5 says John should be fired if they end up releasing Jimmy and promote Adam Peters. So I would like to see how the Niners spin it if they cut Jimmy Garoppolo and act like, it's.
Well, they already started. Diner Rossini gave the first report.
And
the shoulder.
It's the shoulder. It's his fault. Scott says the elephant in the room is that nobody talks about except you guys is the $50 million in cap space we could have potentially had by getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo last season. Trade with reps equals top 10 quarterback this season. Yes. One more time. Had they done it last year, they would have been able to roll over the cap space.
50 million. Yeah.
50 million. That's math. Parag and Jed's.
Or Micah Parsons.
Mo Dollar says Parag and Jed's 49ers are more concerned with winning contracts than championships. Wow. Mo Dollars with a very succinct, truthful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 words. Boom. That's it. That's the Niners in 12 words. Good job, Mo. Hey, Parag, Jed, if we're wrong, prove us wrong. Because you haven't won a championship. You guys just keep winning the deals. And people praise them for that.
Do they, though? Because here's my thing. Like, if you get an out on a player, like, technically you win the deal. But if you're using the out, you lose the deal because the player didn't perform for you. So it's a double whammy. Like, technically they won the Quan Alexander deal because there weren't large ramifications from it. But they lost because they signed a 24-year-old linebacker who they said was going to be a leader of their defense for years to come, a core part of their team, and he was gone.
A legendary player. Sorry, I was just getting my thing back in focus. I got this 4K camera and it's constantly out of focus. It's like, what's the point? Yeah.
Is it to compete with Rob Shue?
Yes, absolutely. And Eric Crocker, who have way better setups than I do. Ben,
Yeah, Eric
Good man.
Crocker's setup,
So
Croc,
nice. I'm
dude.
like,
Croc's
damn,
on
man.
point with that.
Oh, ninth.
I don't know how he's got 4 different setups too. He'll sometimes show up at the gym, and the gym background is sick. Then he's got a sick background in the desk. I gotta get something going because at my house, I mean, at my house at least, I'm just like here. But when I'm in the city, I just got this gray wall, and it's just a whole lot of beige. When I move out in July or whatever,
You
I'm
level
gonna
up.
my first major investment with my first paycheck is gonna be getting some sort of rocking setup so I can compete
Hell
with
yeah.
y'all.
Absolutely. Ninth Wonder Comics says at this point, let's just make Debo the GM. He's doing everything. Yeah, the GM, the backup quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver, special teams, both returners. Gotta love Debo, man. Murphy
Yeah.
said, no way Niners can dump Jimmy now. Unless a team gets desperate, they have to keep him and also can't have a $27 million backup. LOL Trey going to sit again. But teammates and half the fan base are good with that. Oof. Oof.
I mean,
Man.
that's kind of like a worst case, like
Yeah, it's
kind
a
of a real
dystopian future.
summation. It's a real summation, but it's kind of like oh man, you're such a negative Nelly by summing it up like that, you know?
It's true, but it could happen. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a Mad Max. It's like a dystopian future where there's no water. It's like that, except it's Jimmy
Yeah.
Garoppolo back again, and everyone's like, no, and Tom Hardy's like driving around. Anyway, David Velez says maybe Lynch is going to release Jimmy Garoppolo only after all the starting jobs are gone as a revert. You said that, and he wrote this like 40 minutes ago, so you guys are thinking on the same wavelength. David?
Yeah, we're on the same page. And I'd like to repeat, it is what they were going to do to Colin Kaepernick if
So it's an organizational strategy. Oh, you tried to get over because I think the Niners felt like, oh, Colin, you scheduled these surgeries for right when we were going to cut you, and da-da-da-da. So boom. Anyway, that's all ancient history though. Percy says, y'all, my two favorite big fans of you guys. The way Niners is moving this offseason tells me they're not all in on this team this year and waiting for 2023 to go all in. Percy, that's been my assumption that they look at next year as a more financially advantageous time to go all in.
First presser, whether it's the draft or the day Jimmy Garoppolo gets cut or traded, please ask that question.
I will.
I know Charvarius Ward really appreciated the question about the middle school hip injury because he said it after the interview how much he liked it. Said, what did he say?
Was
Whack.
Was that the one that got him? Was that the one that got him?
Wouldn't have gotten you. You get signed on a new team and someone's asking about you in middle school. I mean, but those. I'm going to be honest. Rob, the only person that's more passionate about, hating on the Niners beat than me is Rob Guerrera. So I don't want to steal Rob's content here.
Fair. He's coming on in a bit. Godzilla says, let's say Jimmy gets traded and the Niners have spending money. Who's to say that free agents even want to come to SF?
Money.
It's called money. You know what Stephon Gilmore's waiting for right now, Vish?
Money. Dude, people I don't get. Oh, this guy wants to go there. This guy wants to go there. Why do you think Von Miller signed with Buffalo over the Rams?
Money. End of story. People be like, "Oh, the Niners couldn't have got Cordell Patterson."
This is the BS. This is the BS that they used to say about the Niners in the Tom Sula, Chip Kelly years. But really, they had so much cap space they could bring in anybody they wanted as long as they were willing to overpay how much ever they had to overpay to do it.
Ali says Jimmy is the 13th highest paid player in the league, making $27.5 million this year. We need to cut him or fire Lynch. Man, Niner fans are pretty dead set on what they want to happen. John, you got to change the narrative.
John Lynch is getting John Lynch is just catching strays.
Yeah, there's only so much the spreadsheet can do for you now. You know what I mean? Like Stanford guy to Stanford guy. You really need to control your own narrative here because it's not working. Ali, we got you. Demon says, I'm okay with John Lynch leaving to media. He is missing the big picture now. Grant and Vish, legendary duo. I think he is missing the big picture. I do. And we are a legendary duo for show. Hold on. If McDaniel's GM had 15% of their payroll being paid to
McDonald's,
if McDonald's GM had 50% of their payroll being paid to sit in storage, he'd be fired. This is professional malpractice. Whoever is responsible.
No, it's the optimum business strategy. Take business 101.
Business 101. Last year the ultimate punchline was a spreadsheet. This year's business 101. And it just keeps getting funnier to me. Niner Nation says Lance is going to go nuke talent plus Channy's mind over Kittle, Debo.
If all that happens, this entire conversation becomes moot. But unfortunately, we're a year or 6 months away from finding out whether that happens or not. So we have to sit here and have this conversation about this, which is not a fun conversation to have.
A shout out to Niner
Except
Nation.
for Grant. Grant likes it.
I like the like whoa reference. I don't even know if Vish remembers that. That was from Black Rob's song Like Whoa in 1999, which in my opinion is the best song ever released on Bad Boy Records, better than any song that Biggie ever did.
Okay.
That's my favorite song. Just want to say.
Okay.
Because it just lists a lot of different things that's going on in his life that are like whoa, and I'm like, man, that is like whoa. Anyway,
I've heard Like Whoa. Haven't heard of the song. Unfortunately, I'm incapable of remembering it because I was born in 1999.
True. It's true. It was a good one. I was there for 1999 was a good year. I was there. Niner by Nature 88, who's probably my age, says, I have a feeling as soon as we cut Jimmy, he will join Seattle for some payback. I honestly do not like Jimmy. Dude, Seattle be better off signing Colin Kaepernick than Jimmy Garoppolo. I can't see Seattle looking at him actually wanting him.
Yo, if we're going to go crazy about dudes throwing in pro days and stuff, Cap was slinging that thing in those videos.
Dude, he's better. I still think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sorry. I think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sorry. They're different. Adam says it's obvious these teams are doing more sidestepping with Jimmy than the temptations. His injury concerns and the what ifs are too much to gamble on.
Yeah. Look, and this is the most important thing, and I made this point last time. The only reason Garoppolo becomes valuable enough for them to pay what the Chiefs got for Alex Smith and all of that is if any of these teams view Garoppolo as more than a one-year solution. Clearly, they only view him as a one-year option that can keep you respectable, and his number isn't too bad if you're paying that, and you can win games with him. He might not be win you the Super Bowl. You might not win because of him, but there's an avenue to win 10 games, make the playoffs, and pivot to whatever your next quarterback is the same way the Niners just did it last year with him. And the difference with the Alex Smith situation, is that Washington traded for him in January after deciding for 2 years of franchising Kirk Cousins. They did not want to pay him, and they gave Alex Smith a massive extension, looking at him as their short-term solution for quarterback for the next 3 years, which was obviously ruined by that nasty injury he had. But there's a massive perception difference between Jimmy Garoppolo and Alex Smith. These situations are not comparable. January 30th was when Alex Smith
let's just go through it. Like, he's a one-year solution, not a two-year solution. He's not on the free agent market. You have to trade for him. He's the 13th highest paid player in the league. He just had surgery. He won't be there.
They're better available quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're better available quarterbacks. He won't be there in OTAs. He won't be there in minicamp. He probably will miss the beginning of training camp. There's no guarantee as to when you'll get him. So who wouldn't want a quarterback like that? And when he's healthy, he's freaking mediocre at best. So, yeah, I can actually believe that there's not a trade market for him. Hollyworld 73 has a $50 donation. So let's give this guy the floor. He says, okay, tinfoil hat time. The surgery is to give the front office a reason to keep Jimmy on the team, but sit him all next season because the shoulder is worse than believed. That way, they keep the locker room and get to start the kid. Wow. I love it. I love a good team.
And get to just spend $27 million on a guy that's not playing a snap.
No, but what he's saying is that this shoulder injury is worse than they're saying, and that I guess they've said that it's not a big deal. So I guess they would have to start having to backtrack. I mean, they could do that, I guess.
What about Garoppolo? What's his benefit in all of that?
Yeah, so this would be like assuming that Jimmy and the Niners are working together. So Jimmy could.
Yeah, Jimmy just wants $27 million, so he can just sit and watch for a year.
Maybe Jimmy wants $27 million.
That all of that sounds. I'm sorry, Hollyworld 73. That entire scenario is
rich.
Disgusting.
But I like that he thought it. He spent all day thinking about it, and he donated $50 to. That's like him saying, "This is the truth." You really put your full weight behind. I liked it. I'm going to remember that you said this. That they work together. That they're in cahoots. Hollyworld 73 is saying that Jimmy Garoppolo, Don Yee, and the 49ers are in cahoots to keep him on the team so he gets $27 million. But as a backup, hey, man, we'll see.
Dude,
we'll see.
If anybody who knows Jed York, tell him that there's a 22-year-old who's willing to just sit and do nothing for $27 million too. Please.
Niner by Nature.
If you have his number, anyone out there, anywhere, I will sit and do nothing. I promise. I'll do nothing better than anybody else. I'll work harder than anybody else to do nothing and not affect locker room chemistry or anything. Just $27 million. I beg you, please.
You'll be the first one in to do nothing, the last one gone after doing nothing. I mean,
I promise. I'm serious.
You won't complain.
You want me to stay up all night?
You won't ask for a trade.
If you want me to wash their towels,
yeah,
whatever you want, I'll do it. 27, not whatever you want, actually. before people
Fair.
take that a step
Man
too
has to
far.
have
But
his limitations. Niner by Nature 88 says John Lynch went to 2 2s on the table. The cutting Jimmy in a day. We have to keep him now. John Lynch wants to save face, but because if this is true, it's fireable. Yeah, I think that's really this is what it's. That's what it is. It's getting bad. He's kind of was a little too transparent along the way. We have this, but we're gonna hold out for more. And now if you cut him, it's like, oh, like,
and man, Florio,
dunk
I
session
think
on you.
I think Florio knew that the Colts Matt Ryan thing was gonna go down and heat up today, and he wrote that article just to stick it to the Niners. He was just doing that to be a jerk, in my opinion.
Joe says rework Jimmy's contract, telling him we'll keep him for less, then release him before the season. Keep Tart BT up. Yeah, Don Yee's too smart to let that
I'd
happen.
love to keep Tart.
Yeah, Tart's going to sign somewhere for very cheap, like Tom Compton, and I'm going to be like, well, why is he not on the team anymore? You couldn't afford Tom Compton. You couldn't afford Jaquiski Tart. Okay, but you needed him last year, right?
Pretty well
you
too.
Freaking needed him last year. You were lucky to have Tom Compton last year, and now it's like,
well, the thing with Tom Compton is he could go to Denver and absolutely wet the bed. In Tart's case, Tart's been consistently very good when he's played.
True. Keith says they've bungled the situation, but to call for their job after a Super Bowl NFC Championship appearance 2 of the last 2 years is laughable. Okay, fair enough. Laughable. Again, it's like, here's where I look at it. Keith, I love you, but it's like the Niners are a startup. They were nothing in 2017, scorched earth. They're on the brink of going public. On the brink, but they can't freaking get it done because the people who started the company and got them so far, who deserve a lot of credit, have never done this before. They've never never taken it, the final step. And you know what companies do when they're stuck there? They bring in someone else who has experience. So yeah, I mean, you can be this genius who gets a company off the ground, gets it all the way to the precipice, but if you can't get it over the edge, then that's a problem. I'm just saying.
I'm with Keith on this, Grant. I understand where you're coming from. But I'm with Keith. I think you got to just let this year play out. Because again, Trey Lance being really, really good could make every one of these conversations today moot. Because like you can when you get the quarterback right, you can screw up so many different things and still be
true. Grant, give them hell this week. Sincerely,
Moe, your number one fan.
Oh, you already know. You already know. Sean says, Grant, I really enjoy the content, style, and personality. Thank you. I know you're a closet bang bang Niner gang. It's okay. We welcome you. No, it's okay. You can give my spot to someone else. It's all right. I was a fan for a long time, but no. I like being a thorn in Jed York's side. I couldn't see myself actually rooting for him. You know what I'm saying? I could acknowledge his success, but I couldn't root for it. Gold-blooded says, can we just offer up one of our comp thirds for someone to take Jimmy? If he's on this team next year, I'm canceling a Sunday ticket and paying to be a member of this channel. Oh, wow. So that would be good.
Now Grant is a Niners fan. He's cheering for them to keep Jimmy.
Got to keep Jimmy one more year, guys. Got to. Dr. Robert Anthony Jr. says Grant and Vish 2 second-round picks for Jimmy. The Niners should be loading the moving truck in a rush. Oh man, Florida's a jerk for that. Such a jerk.
Do I think that they had 2 second-round picks? No, I think that part is bogus. Do I think Florio heard somewhere that was one of Lynch's negotiation tactics and chose to release it, knowing that this is the day things are going to go?
It was a chess move.
I do think that 100%.
Christopher Cedro says fans in the movie Draft Day protested outside Seahawks headquarters to fire the GM when he traded the number 1 pick. 49ers fans should do the same to John Lynch. He'll hate the negative press and maybe do something. Yeah, put the pressure on him. Show up to Santa Clara, stand outside of his office, and just knock on his door politely, very slowly. Or just keep calling up the front office and say, can we speak to John Lynch? And just leave him hell freaking voicemails. You can do that. Just saying. Casey Cole says, absolute worst outcome of this would be Jimmy coming back, get his contract off the books and reload. Forget the pick. This arrogance is disgusting. You thought you were worked up, Vish. Niner fans are right there with you.
I was worked up because, again, I thought $25.5 million is worth more than a crappy or third. I don't want to say crappy. It's tough to call a pick crappy, but a third or fourth. Now, in this case, what even is the pick, right? Like,
yeah. El Jefe says, did we fire Lynch for the 2-round pick lies that caused this? Man, that is Florio and Middlecoff driving up expectations. I don't know. Ravi says Niners have messed up this entire Jimmy Garoppolo situation from the moment they drafted Lance. Isn't it fitting that it got hit back on them? Lynch should be fired. Wow. Hey, man. Look, Keith, Vish, I understand where you guys are coming from, but listen to your John, listen to your fan base. This is bad for you. Cody says, is the most likely scenario now a Jimmy Trey competition at camp? If Trey wins, I'd imagine they drop Jimmy like Seattle did when they drafted Russ. What do you think?
No, that's totally different scenario though. Because Garoppolo's got the locker room in his back pocket. Like, again, I told you, I said this earlier. I was talking to a player.
Flynn did not have the Seahawks locker room in his back pocket. He was
I was talking to a player about Trey Lance, very casual, just wanted to know how he was doing. And all he said was, you can't say anything until he gets a full off season and does the guy to grow.
That's freaking fair. I think that's totally fair. DeMontre Houston says, release or take whatever you can get for Jimmy and go get Bosa some help. The D-line committee is good, but a true number 2 would help us, especially on third down. Especially, we didn't even talk about it, but Arden Key probably not coming back. He was a key member of this team, not in the playoffs. But in the regular season, getting them to the playoffs, he was a big reason for that. Yes. And Zadarius Smith is
He
was. And he's not coming back. So Zadarius Smith, someone, yes, do it. Dustin the Gale says, I'm late to the party, but just saw all the trade updates. So basically every NFL team is a starting quarterback now, pretty much. Yeah. That's,
every team has a starting quarterback, not to mention, I still think that a couple of one or two of these guys in the draft will just get overvalued.
Scott says Niners generate $68 million in revenue at the stadium and pay $0 to the city, but they don't have money for free agent shrug.
It's earmarked for Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel.
It's for WrestleMania.
They can clear if they wanted to. Hey, Scott, this is logic that makes sense. They wanted to clear $25.5 million. They can absolutely do it. That's if they want to sign anybody, but they don't want to sign anybody, and they have to use all of that money for Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa, and they can't clear that money in other ways for Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa. They can only clear it to sign other people. So they're 100% okay if Garoppolo makes 12.7% of their cap at the start of the new league year when he's not going to be on the roster. You're crazy. You're just being a crazy guy. You're just a guy in your room who talks about the Niners on Twitter, all of that, if you say anything otherwise.
Scott's got the dirt on Santa Clara. He might be running for mayor. I don't know. He says Niners want to replace Levi's Stadium sign and want Santa Clara taxpayers to pay a potential $1.3 million. Oh, but we're paying $27 million for Jimmy.
Well, man, I don't want to live in Santa Clara.
The nerve.
I'm running from Santa Clara.
Yeah, you don't want to be – if you live in Santa Clara, you are funding the 49ers. Michael says if Jimmy stays, God help us, I predict there will be several empty seats. Yeah, I don't think fans want to see that. Maybe there's a vocal minority on Twitter and stuff that are all about that, but I don't think fans want to see that anymore.
Niners will still be good, though. And
they will.
Yeah, so.
Who's a better all-time Niner, Jimmy or Alex Smith? I would say Alex Smith.
Yeah, I'd say Alex Smith, too, I think. Yeah.
The difference is Alex Smith had to play on a bad team as a rookie. Jimmy got to go to the Patriots and sit for a long time and just be compared to Tom Brady. Like, are you kidding me? Where would Jimmy be right now if he had to play for Mike Nolan?
I think Alex Smith is the better quarterback, but I think in terms of what he did on the Niners, because he had to go through so much crap in his first part of it, and then he only really had the one good season, 1.5 good season.
He didn't get 5 years like Jimmy.
Yeah, and Garoppolo technically has had 2 good regular seasons. So
it's true. George Larmy says, hey, Vish, you got to say pause after what you said and Jimmy G having 9 years because of his guy that we have to keep him for another season. I think he said when you said you would do anything for $27 million. Pause. Mindful Naked says the entire Jimmy fiasco has turned me from saying my Niners to the Niners. Dude, I got there 15 years ago. I'm sick of it. Crazy how Lynch thought Jimmy's value is so high. Crazy. It's crazy. I don't know.
They got 2 2s on the table. They're going to take it tomorrow.
They got 2 2s. Why are you being so negative? Chase says there's legitimately no team for Jimmy now. I just want to know what the hell is going on, man. Grant, give him hell in the press conferences.
Well, Chase, here's the thing. They did not know. Nobody knew that Deshaun Watson was going to plead the fifth and his grand jury trial was that Friday.
No one could have predicted this. James Hennessy says, does it ever
Some college kid who just talks about the 49ers in his room on Twitter was saying it along with a few fans on Twitter Spaces, but
other than that, James Hennessy, the last comment of the day, says, does it ever feel the Niners have taken the wrong lessons from the Pats? BB always kept some flexibility with the cap so he could sign Revis, but not always.
Yeah, but the thing with the Pats though is they always had the great equalizer at quarterback too to be able to make those moves. And the Niners don't have the great equalizer at quarterback. And then Belichick had certain positions that he could develop like really, really well. Like you could trust that Belichick could get a fifth round corner by year two, if he buys in to play really, really well. I mean, they've had so many different corners who they've developed and all of that. I don't think, the Pats, yeah, the Colts did predict that. I was being facetious. I was being a jerk because I took a lot of crap, probably more crap than I've ever taken since I've started doing this the last couple of weeks. So I was being a little salty jerk about it. But I don't think you can really follow the Patriots model. I don't even think anybody can say, "Oh, shoot, we can have 20 years of sustained success in the NFL the way they did." They're a one of one. They're a work of art.
Yeah. Well, that's a 95-minute show. We still have 2,200 people watching, but you got to leave them wanting more. I know Niners fans are really frustrated right now, but there's time for the Niners to turn this around and do the right thing. And if they do watch our show, we're giving them the blueprint, the roadmap. There are still good free agents out there. And if you, the 49er fan, puts enough pressure on John Lynch and the organization, you just might get Jimmy Garoppolo. Your homework assignment is to write something to John Lynch in a letter, in a DM on Twitter. Write to John Lynch and tell him how you feel, because he may not know. It's on you, 49er fans. That's your homework assignment. I want to see a lot of tweets.
I just would love to hear. I would love to hear him talk about the situation. I would love to see him put actually under pressure and just he doesn't even have to give answers that way. He just has to I would love to hear him have to actually answer these questions. Hopefully they don't talk about, a fourth grade bike injury when he scratched his knee. That would be real tough. Hopefully we can ask him about
he says, thank you, Vish. Grant has someone on the show to make sense. If you want to fire Lynch and Shanahan, go listen to a Lions or Panthers channel for a week. Ooh, Keith's upset. I like this. But hold on, Keith. I didn't say fire Shanahan. My question to you, since you're putting me on the spot, I'm putting it right back at you, Keith. And I'm not going to ask you to be sending another.
Do you want to be as good as the Lions or Panthers?
No, my question, and I'll do a Cohn phone later this week. You can call in. What is John Lynch? What does John Lynch bring to the table at this point? What good does John Lynch do? And if you removed him from the equation and kept everyone else, Adam Peters, Kyle Shanahan, everyone else, would the Niners be better or worse off? It's hard to, I guess, answer unless you knew what John Lynch. But John Lynch's major contribution is this Jimmy Garoppolo fiasco. That's his contribution.
That part of it is real. I don't even know if you can put the Garoppolo thing up on him, because maybe it's Parag leading the negotiation, or maybe it's Jed York that says you cannot trade him for less than this. This is how good he is. If you trade him in this, so we can't put it all on him. I do think a question of what exactly is his big contribution to the roster is a question mark, but I think that's also just the result of everybody believing so much in Kyle Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan's control of this entire situation, and Kyle Shanahan's conviction on how everything in an organization should look and how much power he has. I think that's always going to make, even if Adam Peters was the GM, I think we would always wonder, like, even though he's a scout, you're probably, because the star of the 49ers is really their coaching staff, right? Yeah. Their coaching staff makes the GM look good, because it's not like their most talented players are always the ones performing. The coaching staff is able to take these diamonds in the rough, these guys that they draft in the 5th, 6th round, and teach them how to play and get them to play really, really well. Like, to me, the coaching staff proves the front office more than the front office proves the coaching staff, because the front office's big signings and free agency have more or less flopped. A lot of their early round draft picks have flopped. It's really the coaching staff's ability to take these lesser players and make them better. And to me, that's what makes the 49ers special. So there are questions to be asked of the front office. I just think when you have an operation that's kind of more or less worked, and you have a quarterback in the wings, we have to just see it all play out. But I wouldn't give you to go all the way there, Keith, because just because the Lions and Panthers suck doesn't mean the 49ers are doing everything perfectly. Like, you can go listen to a Rams channel and feel like, maybe they're not doing as much as what Les Snead is doing. So it goes both ways.
Yep. Voice ad agency says a little switch in subjects. Have the Niners made any changes in training staffs or weight coaches? No. No. They just had 2 weaknesses and they addressed them and they're good. Super Bowl.